Welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. It is Friday, it is Thursday night, which means we are here for Aftermath of Dynamite. It's myself, your boy ALW, and the Anarchy Queen of Workhorse Wrestling Network, Miss Anika. So, we are, as usual, going to talk about the last week in AEW, starting with Dynamite, or I'm sorry, Rampage from last Friday, which was presented as going to be a big business Rampage and then got downgraded and was pre recorded. And I'm not totally sure what happened there, but it
Yeah.
is what it is. Anything you want to say to the people before we crack into Rampage from last Friday?
Hey, boo boos. Um, Sorry, life be life, but we are back and we will cover everything that has happened these past 2 weeks.
So let's see. We're going to start off with Rampage from last Friday, which was the 15th of March. And that Rampage opened with Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta versus the Dark Order, John Silver and Evil Uno. Cassidy and Beretta are best friends, I guess, technically. Got the win. Um, yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah,
what it was. Go ahead.
here's the thing, right? I love best friends. I love Dark Order. For Dark Order, y'all have not been on the scene in a minute. And then this whole big tag team championship match, it needs more bodies. It needs more teams. And we thought it was going to be the BCC in here, but they haven't had a match for it or haven't even announced they're going to be in it.
Right.
And so, and FTR is in it, but you tell me if I'm wrong, but they haven't had a match for this tournament either.
No, they
So,
wrestle. The wild card, the team that won, infantry. Infantry got the upset, so it'll be infantry
no,
versus FTR.
okay. No. So it was infantry versus Black House of Black, but did FTR
Right,
ever have a? But it has. But it, F, did
and the winner
FTR?
faces FTR. Right,
Okay, but FTR hasn't wrestled yet.
not yet. No,
Yeah. So
they've only had, as I understand it, they've only had two matches from that tournament so far. As I understand it, I could be wrong, but maybe I'm wrong.
I had to say this. The tournament is feeling definitely compared to the C2, very much cold. So it needs to be heated up
Yeah, it
fast.
feels a little disorganized, a little kind of thrown. There's not. It doesn't feel like there's as much thought put into it as there was for the C2. So
Yeah.
let's see. Then we had Timeless Tony Storm with Mariah May, or with Luther and Mariah May versus Kayla Sparks and Little Megan Kathleen. Obviously, Tony Storm and Mariah May got the win here. It was after the match, Gianna Peraza came out and introduced her mystery partner as none other than the returning Thunder Rosa, or as the recently returned Sun Thunder Rosa, which I think this was a squash match. Nobody really knows. Unfortunately, Kayla Sparks and Little Mean Kathleen, which is a terrible name, uh, we're just kind of there for fodder for the Tony Storm and Mariah May, and to further, the story with Deonna Peraza and now Thunder Rosa. So, anything you want to say about this? What do you think about Tony Storm, Mariah May, and Deonna Peraza and Thunder Rosa?
So definitely love Mariah May and Tony Storm. Glad Thunder will be on. Well, that she was on Dynamite. It's like okay, finally. I don't know. I know she was on Collision, and that's so. But Dynamite is the main show. We all know it. So it was very glad to okay, yes, let's get this back. Let's get Thunder Rosa back on track. So I'm very much happy that match happened. It's going to happen on this show.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That brought us to the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita versus Commander. Which, I mean, it was a good match. Both guys can really wrestle. Takeshita's a little bit better, I think, on a slightly on a level slightly above Commander, just in general. Um, I always am very surprised when guys take a whole lot of offense from their opponent and still end up with the win. And Kessler took a lot of damage, a lot of it felt like was on the receiving end of a lot of offense from Commander and still got the win. I mean, I guess it's supposed to show you how tough to catch it is, and potentially. And okay, here's the thing: Commander threw everything he could at Takeshita and couldn't get the win. It didn't take that much once Takeshita got rolling for him to get the win over Commander. So I guess it's supposed to kind of separate the two and show you how much better, I suppose, Takeshita is than Commander overall. I
Yeah.
thought it came off a little odd, even though it was a good match. I thought it came off a little odd.
No, you know, crafting a match where both people come out good. I'm not gonna say rare, but it happens every full moon, right? But for me, yeah, for me, Takeshita should definitely look stronger than Commander. Sorry, but yes, does look stronger than Commander. Big things should be in Takeshita's future. So yeah, keep him as strong as possible. But this was good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they had good chemistry. I thought it worked well overall.
Yes.
Let's see. Then we had our main event of that episode of Rampage, which was the Undisputed Kingdom, Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett against Action Andretti and Top Flight. Undisputed Kingdom got the win in a surprisingly quick match, actually. Um, I was a little
Yeah.
surprised at how fast this one ended. I was hoping that, I mean, these six guys, for all intents and purposes, are all real good in the ring, and so give them some time, let it breathe a little. But I guess maybe we were up against the clock. I'm not sure why it was short, but the little bit that they had I thought was good, and they're obviously pushing the
Undisputed
Undisputed
Kingdom.
Kingdom at the moment. They're the big story, so they get the win here, as I suppose they probably should. In theory, I'd much rather see Top Flight and Action Andretti getting the win here, but that's
Yeah.
just me. But and like I said, I like Roderick Strong. I like Matt Bennett. I'm Mike Bennett. Not a big fan of Matt Taven, but that's really here nor there. I just think Top Flight and Action Andretti, especially Top Flight, now that they're both healthy, deserve a bigger push and a little bit more.
Like
Um,
yeah, like why aren't I know they're a trio, but why isn't Top Flight in the tag team
yeah,
tournament? Yeah.
exactly. Technically, they're. In my opinion, I don't really see them as a trio. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean, they're a tag team with a third guy sometimes, right? Like that's how I see it. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they started as a tag team. I mean, so I don't know. They should be in that tournament for sure, no doubt about it. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, it was a good match and an okay way to end that rampage.
Yeah.
Which was an okay rampage, not special, but nothing terrible either. On par for
Right.
normal rampages, I think. I mean, Rampage is never. Every once in a while, it's really good. Most of the time, it's decent. I mean, it's watchable for sure, but not usually. Obviously, it's not Dynamite, and at this point, it's not even Collision, right? So,
If you
but
have some time and you want to waste an hour to watch some good wrestling, watch Rampage.
there you go. Collision from last Saturday, March 16th, opened with the match of the show. The American Dragon, Brian Danielson and Katsuya versus Katsuya Shori. Katsuyori Shibata. I can say it, I promise. I just can't get it out right now. Let's just say Shibata for now.
I can't.
Let me just say before we actually get into it, just how special it is to have these two guys. Like, this is a dream match. It's on a collision on Saturday. It's like, whoa. I mean, the fact that Tony Khan has so many toys to play with that this match
Yeah.
ends up on a collision is insane. And the fact that both these guys are back here wrestling after neck injuries and basically being told they probably weren't going to wrestle again, it's amazing. And two extremely technical wrestlers, and in my opinion, they put on a clinic and gave me everything I wanted. I mean, it was exactly what I was hoping for.
No. It is very what I'm trying to say. Definitely a dream match. Definitely loved it. Right. What was the freaking main event? I know.
Uh, let me see. Do, 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 do. I'm trying to get there. What was it? It was the Adam Copeland promo.
Oh, right. In the letter, yeah. So like this, it depended
But the
on like
final match was the Infantry versus House of Black.
yeah,
That was
like
the main event match.
so okay. Formatting wise, I'm not mad at being first, but it's definitely a main event match. Like you said, like and then both these people had neck injuries, had head injuries. They really should not be wrestling medically. There is an argument that they should be wrestling right now, but it was delicious. Like it's very rare that you get matches that you don't need a baby face and heel. People are just
Yeah.
wrestling. They were
Yep.
just wrestling, and it was so entertaining. Like just the whole sit down and come on, hit me. I was like, no, what is wrong with you people? But I loved every moment of it. I will say this: we like I just said, y'all both have head injuries. So why y'all still want to kick each other in the head? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Brie was pissed when you got home at night. It's like, bruh.
Well, there is that. Yeah, no, I mean, this had everything you wanted, right? This had exchange of
Yeah.
wrestling moves. This was technical when it had to be. It was striking when it had to be. I thought the match flow worked perfect. Um, those guys are so talented, and yeah, I mean, I thought that I don't think they could do any better. I mean, I don't know how to rate it at all, but for me, it came off pretty perfect, pretty close to perfect. I mean, I guess the only thing that could have been made it bigger or better was putting it on a bigger stage, i.e., a pay per view for some sort of a grander, storyline or title or something. But other than that, I mean, this is as good as it gets, right? So
It was just so yummy. It was yummy.
agree. Let's see. Then we had TBS Championship match: House Julia Hart versus Trish Adora, which was a solid match. Another good win for Julia in her title reign here. I didn't necessarily think Trish Adora would get the win just because they really haven't pushed Trish like that. I'd like to see her push more like that. She doesn't really seem like she's in a place. For me personally, she's more than an adequate wrestler, and she's in that place. I think she's ready to be a champion. They just haven't booked her that way. They haven't pushed her to that point yet. She's not ready, storyline wise or kayfabe wise, to do that yet. So, it didn't surprise me that Julia got the win here. But solid women's match.
Very solid. Like you said, for people who are not indie watchers, right? This is very new. Door. We, being CM's friend and her being on our podcast, we know about her, right? So, baby steps, but oh my gosh, she's so good. She is so good. But yeah, this is more so trying to reheat up Julia because we didn't know she was hurt, but she was, and definitely in the well, because she's in a somewhat feud with Mercedes Monet. We need her to be in a higher up position. So Julia definitely she needed the Julia definitely needed the win right now. But yeah, hopefully Trish is not. Yeah, bring her,
Right.
build her up a little bit. Build her up while she's giving these people wins.
Yeah, I totally agree. Then we had Lexi Nair backstage with Harley Cameron and Zach Knight. Zach said, Angelo Parker wants to fight me. I'll give you a fight, but I'm not doing it here in Canada. You want to fight? I'll fight you, but it'll be on my terms. So, I mean, honestly, like, I'm I'm here for Ruby and Angelo. I like that little love story.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with Zach Knight coming after Angelo Parker. I'm just ready for it to happen already. I'm just tired of
That
seeing
part.
Zach for the last. It's been. I feel like it's been like every week for like the last 3 or 4 weeks that he's just been talking about doing something and nothing
Yes.
happens. It's like okay, I'm ready for something to actually happen now.
Like, sir, no offense. We didn't really. Nobody was checking for you like this. Yeah, no offense, but Soraya, you being Soraya's brother, sorry, Sriracha, gave you little to no bump up. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
this match has been on Rampage weeks ago. So like you said,
Uh,
let's get this. Let's get this done.
let's get it cooking already. All right. Then we had Daniel Garcia versus Lee Moriarty in a solid match. Another very good wrestling match. Both guys are really good wrestlers. Daniel
Yeah,
Garcia's Daniel Garcia's kind of in a weird position for me in AEW because it feels like they kind of it's almost like they heat him up and cool him down and heat him up and cool him down, right? It's like 1 minute he's warm and you feel like okay he's going to get a push, going to get a title shot or maybe a win and a title run at some belt, and then all of a sudden it feels like he gets sucked back into some weird vortex and he's cold again. So I don't know. I mean, this match worked well for me though. I mean, I like Lee Moriarty and Daniel Garcia, both of them a lot, and I thought it was a good match. Daniel Garcia got the win with the heel hook. And I'm excited for Shane Taylor Promotions. I mean, I wish we got to see them a little more. Maybe if if or when Keith Lee comes back, I know he was feuding with Shane Taylor before, but they do have a history of being partners before in Ring of Honor. So maybe if he comes back,
yeah.
it'll be a different situation. I think Shane Taylor Promotions needs a couple more guys and to get an actual storyline where they make an impact. That would be
An actual storyline is the exact words to both people, right?
yeah,
These both are new stars that are promising. They're great in the ring, but you're not giving them an actual program, or you haven't given them an actual program when it comes to Garcia in a minute, right? Like something think uh continuous that brings him higher up. Like you said, let him stay there, right?
yeah,
Looking all over the place, they so they have different belts, and we'll talk about this later. I could see him going for the intercontinental international championship. I think that would be a great place for him to start getting some wins and actually getting that belt. So
hmm
it really, like you said, it's a matter of putting them in the right position to be great. But great match.
yeah. No, I agree. Let's see. Then we had the Bastard Pack, and I believe his first match since coming back versus Aaron. So I mean, he had the run in and the deal with the guys last week, but I think this is his first formal match since he's been back here, and it's against Aaron Solo, formerly of the Factory and QTV. QTTV, I guess so, or
Mm-hmm.
QTV, which is weird. Not totally distract from Pack and Aaron Solo, but I haven't seen QT Marshall in a while now anywhere. I
Well,
mean, he's been kind of yeah,
he left saying that he wanted to be more than a backstage person, but I think that his plan was going to WWE, but WWE was like you're gonna be a backstage person, so he's like bump that and went to AEW, right?
yeah,
Unbeknownst to the people who are in QTV, which was Aaron Solo, the little girl who couldn't sing, and John Morris, Johnny Wrestling, aka John Morrison. Him and Tay are doing something, but it's not really that hype. They're on Ring of Honor, but I was very surprised for Solo. I think Aaron Solo, we call it, understood the assignment. He was like, okay, I'm not
yes,
sure when the next time I'm gonna be on TV, so I'm gonna put up all the stops, even though I'm going to lose. So kudos to you, Aaron Solo. But
yeah,
oh my gosh, it's so great seeing the bastard. It
yeah,
really was, bruh. Like he was a missing ingredient to the first years of AEW. He was that little ingredient that got the party started. So great to see him back. And we'll talk about it later, but him versus Okada, heck yeah.
yeah. I was all here for. I mean, I like Pack. I'm glad that he's back. Sorry, I took the banner down. Yeah, Aaron Solo had some offense at the very beginning, and then once Pack took over, it was kind of a it ended up being kind of ended quickly ultimately. But Aaron Solo did get a little bit of offense, and like you said, he made the best, I guess, of the little bit of time that he got to show what he could do. Um, he was getting some time again when he was part of the factory. At least he was on TV. I haven't seen him on TV in a while. So, and
Mm-hmm.
Pac's first spot back, he's going to get the win, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So, but no, I mean this wasn't bad. Ultimately, I think it was more to show that Pac is back and how good he actually is. Remind everybody maybe introduce people that don't know, anybody that's new to wrestling that just come along and
Hmm.
isn't familiar with them, or just to reacclimate, everybody to him. Because some people, when people are gone, you forget, and then you go, oh shit, I do remember now. But at the very end of the match, after beating Solo, he reminded Tony Khan and everybody that he's back, and that he's looking for some trouble. And if Tony doesn't give it to him, he will find it himself. So he's back and grumpy. So
He is
yeah.
perfect.
So obviously post his match with Shibata earlier in the show, we get Brian Danielson being kind of introspective and a little backstage meditating promo, where he talks about how grateful he is for his match with Shibata tonight, and how excited he is and grateful for his match with Will Ospreay coming up at Dynasty on April 21st, of which I think we're all very excited.
Yeah,
Um, and that they don't know that they're not ready for what he's willing to do. What do you think of this Danielson promo?
very great. Perfect Danielson being very slow and, like you said, introspective, and then coming out with full fire at the end. So, like you said, I can't wait. Bro, this is gonna be so good. I'm not gonna try to hype it up, but yeah,
Yeah,
Danielson versus Osprey. Whew, let's go.
right. All right. Then we had Claudio versus the Murder Hawk Lance Archer. This is one of those matches where when I see it on paper, I think, holy shit, we're actually going to get this match. Not because like Lance Archer's so great, but just because it seems like I don't know. In my head, I don't know who I want to lose. Like Lance Archer really is kind of a monster, and he doesn't
He's
take a lot of
great,
losses, right? But Claudio's Claudio, and the BCC is huge, and like Claudio's at the best he's ever been, probably in my opinion. So like, this is an interesting match. I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought these guys really had good chemistry. I thought it came across well. Um, he got him up in the swing, which was amazing. That's a big dude to put in the swing. And yeah, ultimately, Claudio got the win. Um, and then we had a little appearance from the Righteous. Oh no, I guess Claudio didn't get the win. The Righteous attacked him before the match was over. He
Yep,
had he
the
had
swing.
Archer
Yep.
he had Archer in the swing, and the Righteous attacked him. So there wasn't an actual. Well, I guess technically Claudio won by disqualification.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess it's the Righteous and Lance Archer are going to be a little thingy thing. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm kind of here for that. That's fun. Um, yeah,
Right.
I thought this was fun. I enjoyed all this.
Yeah, and like, like it wasn't. Oh, and then the meat chants came in. It wasn't beef, but it was chicken on chicken, and so it was really enough. Like you said, I love, I love Lance Archer. He's one of the people where when I first got into AEW, like, oh my god, who's that dude? Right? It's one of the people who's like, why hasn't he won anything? Why has he been,
Right?
yeah, laid to the wayside? Right? And so thank God for Collision. Let him make the most. Let him make the most of it. At the end, it looks like we're going to get the Righteous and Lance Archer versus, well, that will be because I think Moxley finally took the vacation. Thank God. But Danielson came out and Shibata came out. So Claudio, Shibata, and Danielson, a little 6-man tag. I'm all here for that.
So here's my question, really. First of all, Shibata is not a formal member of the BCC, and where is Wheeler Yuta? I feel like I haven't seen Wheeler Yuta in a little while. Is he injured?
He is injured. He is hurt.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
hear that. I guess I missed that he was injured. I just
yeah,
realized when Shibata and Danielson came out to help Claudio, and there was no Wheeler Yuta, I was like, hey, I haven't. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen Wheeler in a little while. Like,
right.
yeah. So,
Like,
no, I mean, hey, look, if they put Shibata in the black in BCC permanently, made him an actual member, I'm here for that. Like, that would be awesome.
right.
So, I mean, I don't think that's going to ultimately happen, but that would be awesome. But yeah, even if he just takes the place of Wheeler Yuta for the moment, just interim, to help out, I'm here for that. So, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we're getting the Righteous with Lance Archer versus BCC a feud here. This, as Nigel said, this is far from over. So
Well,
let's see. Then we had more of this boiling story with the Ruby Soho and Cool Hand. And um, Parker says Zach is a coward. He doesn't want to have a match. If he wants to, he'll fight tonight. And Ruby says, if you're looking for a fight, you'll have to do it without me. You're right. You're right. I'll leave it alone for tonight. Angelo says. I I guess I don't totally understand why Ruby doesn't really. I guess she doesn't not want him to fight him. Just didn't want him to
Well,
do it. So I guess I'm a little yeah
in her in her mind, she was like, "You're being baited. Don't take the
yeah
bait."
yeah. I
So,
can see that. I guess I can see
like,
that.
we're gonna play it smart. But like you said, I feel like it's time for this to go to the ring. So
Yeah,
let's do this now, please.
no doubt. Let's see. Then we had the returning Kyle O'Reilly. This I think this is his first or second match. It might be his first match back.
First match
He,
ever back.
okay, so he had a little promo saying he was back, but this is the first in-ring action. And Brian, bounty hunter Brian Keith, gets the honor of being in the ring with Kyle for his first match back, which is nice. I'm happy to see that. Even though, pushes can be described in different ways, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to be pushed by winning a title and getting a good title run or even a lot of good title drops. You can just get pushed by being a guy that gets steadily put in matches with good guys and has good matches, right? And to
Mhm.
even be picked for a spot to be in the match with the returning with the returning Kyle O'Reilly and to be his first opponent back, it, to me seems like a pretty cool thing. So I mean,
That is a great honor. Yeah.
right? So I mean, Brian Keith should be happy with that. That makes me happy for Brian Keith that he gets this opportunity. Um, obviously Kyle O'Reilly gets the win here, but I thought Brian Keith looked okay. Kyle O'Reilly got the submission win, and then the Undisputed Kingdom came out to celebrate with Kyle. You think he ultimately joins them, or you think he? I know so far he hasn't, and he's been like, "We're friends and whatever," but I want to do this on my own. I got to be on my. But you think he ultimately joins?
So I'm not sure, right? Because I guess the question is, why would he not? Yeah. It wasn't real. Like, we really did. I don't even remember when he got. Like, it was, if it was in a match, I don't think we saw it, and they really didn't say anything. Like, he just disappeared, right?
Right. Hmm.
And so I think all along it would probably have to be what I. They're going to probably wait for him to have one on one with Adam Cole. That's what I would do. Make a firm decision. I guess, and also depends, I guess, on if they think he can do a baby face run by himself, or they think he needs the team. So no matter what, I'm here for Kyle. Like you said, Brian Keith, great honor to be his first match back, because that's a whole lot of trust, especially when it's a neck injury. You
Yeah.
got to trust the person. So great honor, Mr. Brian Keith.
Hmm.
Kyle Riley looks jacked.
Yeah,
Even
he
though he
does.
needs some cucumbers on his eyes, he got some muscles on him though. He looks jacked, right? So great to be the first match and to get the nerves out, and we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting to see. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just join Undisputed Kingdom right away, but I guess I get why he didn't. They already have five guys or six guys, and another guy in the Vortex is another. You don't necessarily want him to just kind of disappear into that whatever. But and I'm all here for it. Like I want Kyle to have a sustained singles run because I feel
Mhm.
like he hasn't really had that. He's always been more of a tag team or faction guy, for the most part. And so I'd love to see him just be on his own for a while and actually just. But I'd also, I really, my heart wants Bobby Fish back. I want a real Red Dragon run too. I mean,
Right?
could you imagine Red Dragon in this tournament? So I mean, they should be in this tournament in
Oh,
theory. So, but yeah, so I guess we'll end up seeing what happens. But no, it was a fun match, and like you said, glad that Brian Keith got the opportunity. Let's see, then we had Lexi there backstage with Deanna Perrazzo and Thunder Rosa. Um, talk about how they've never teamed before, but that they're going to face Tony Storm and Mariah May next week on Dynamite, which was last night's Dynamite. So we will talk about that. Um,
mhm.
and Thunder Rosa said, Tony and Mariah want drama. We're going to give you drama. We're going to stop all the games and all the jokes. We have a mission. It's TV time. So, yeah, I mean, I like Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo together. I think these four work well together so far, and I think when we talk about it on Wednesday, I thought their match on Wednesday was good. Yeah, on last night was
Yeah.
good.
No, it's been a minute since I actually heard from Thunder Rosa like an actual promo, and God, is she good at them, right? So, like I said, just hyping like yes, with Mercedes Moné coming here, we need more bodies. And Thunder
Yeah,
Rosa is a great wrestler. So yeah, let's reheat her up. Let's go.
yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, then we had our final wrestling match of the night. Not our main event though, because that was set for Adam Copeland's promo segment. But we got the Infantry, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean versus Brody King and Buddy Matthews. This was a AEW Tag Team Tournament match,
Mm-hmm.
and surprisingly, the Infantry got the win over the House of Black. Which, don't get me wrong, I love the House of Black. I mean, I love the Infantry. I'm really glad they got the win. I'm surprised, only
Yeah.
because I feel like House of Black is one of the factions, groups that Tony really likes and really wants to kind of push and put
Mm-hmm.
kind of up as a big main star. And it seems like it's weird that the infantry wins here. I'm happy for it. I love it because I love the infantry. It just seems like an odd decision here and for the House of Black to then be out of this tournament. So I'm not totally sure what they're doing with the House of Black, right? It's a little odd.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, so we all know that Malachi and Buddy want to leave. They think they're not being pushed well, and they want to go to the WWE, right? So I'm not sure what's on their contract. I'm not. If this was me, right? And this probably is biased because I love House of Black. Give them a reason to stay. Like you said, I feel like they're in limbo, right?
Yeah,
We're just gonna be here until the contracts are up. No, give them a reason to stay, and if they still leave, all right, fine. But
right.
don't say you didn't try, right? And so, like you said, infantry, no offense, but they feel like a version of what you call it, private party. And so I'm like, we don't need two of those. And Private Party was first. So I need y'all to do something different with your look. That's just me. But yeah, like you said, this tournament already needs help. And so House of Black not being deep into it, right? It was a choice. It was a choice.
Yeah. No, it's a little weird. I guess I wasn't aware that they were just that they're hanging out, treading water until their contract expires. I guess I mean, there's two ways to look at that too. You do whatever you can to try to keep them right, so show them how valuable they are. And then the other thing is, if someone's already said, "Hey, I'm giving you my notice, I'm going," well, fuck you. Then they're not going to put any effort into you anyhow, right? I mean, and I might as well have you put over a team that's hanging out if you're just going to go anyhow. So we'll have the infantry go over here. I mean, why not, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I guess I could see it both ways. I don't know. I mean, me personally, I think that the House of Black is worth trying to keep. So I lean a little bit more towards let's try to give them something that makes these guys want to stay. But
Right?
I'm not backstage, and I'm not privy to how those situations work. When I truly believe, and maybe I'm an asshole for this, but when you're in one job and you're not successful, it could potentially be the job in this situation. When you go to another job in the same industry doing the same thing and you're still not successful, I think at some point you have to look at yourself, right? Like it's not just, and I don't want to say anything disparaging about Malachi Black, but he had a hard time getting over in WWE. He seems to be having a hard time getting over and staying over in AEW. And I don't know what that's about. I mean, again, I'm not privy backstage. I don't know. But just from the outside looking in, there's got to be a reason, right? Like, eh, so I don't know. I mean, maybe he just wants to go back to WWE. I don't know why. It wasn't like he had a huge successful run there, So, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is
I,
weird to me.
so I guess, okay, I'm going to advocate for House of Black because they are my babies. I love them. So if I had to guess what their concern is, right? it really is about storylines and getting over. And maybe okay, let's go to their run as trio champions, right? It was all right, but it could have been way better. Like, who are they
Sure.
really facing? And then
Yeah.
you let them drop it to the Acclaim, and then you have this thing called House Rules, and no one's taking seriously. So it is like, why are we here? Why are we like we are over? People do love us, but if you don't have a what you call it a storyline for us, then yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, it's all very frustrating when you don't think you're being valued.
Sure. Yeah, I
And
can definitely
so,
understand that.
yeah.
Let's see. So then we had our main event segment of Collision, which was an in-ring promo with Adam Copeland, where he came out and started to talk, and it ultimately he brought his box. We hadn't seen what was in the box yet. This was the first time he unveils what's in the box,
Hmm.
um, and it ultimately brought Christian out. And yeah, I mean, Spike is a 2x4. The thing that came out of the box is a 2x4 painted black with a bunch of nails and spikes coming out of the top of it, I guess. So that's what
Okay,
he's going to use in the I Quit
let's have
match.
a conversation, okay? Because you listed off the great two by four names of the world. We have Janice. Then we have Terry Cruz's back. I'm not sure what but it was a better name. You always come with Spike. That's all you can come up with, bro. Was Spike.
That's
Do
funny.
better.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like the weapon. I was a little disappointed that that's what was in the box. I
Okay.
didn't
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily know what I wanted it to be, but the way Christian responded when he saw it, I thought it was going to be something that like evoked emotion from the past, like a picture or something that ate at his heart, or so you know what I mean. Something like
Okay.
not just
Okay. Yeah.
not just a
Yeah.
not just a lame weapon, something that fed more into the storyline. Made Christian really gave him a real reason to be like scared and nervous. A picture of Adam pinning him when they were kids as wrestlers, or something crazy like, I don't even know, but just more mental mind game-ish than just a 2x4 with spikes on it. That's just my personal opinion. But I thought this was okay. I mean, this is classic hype up before a match. I mean, this is a promo before the I Quit match that happened this last night.
Mhm.
So, this was a build towards it. Adam Edge is good at these promos. When he gets fired up and all crazy, that's probably when he's does his best promo stuff, right?
Yeah.
He does good at looking crazy and kind of insane and out there and ready to just go nuts. So, and this was that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Like you said, hype up a match. Definitely need to hype up, right? Uh, I guess, yeah, yeah. So during the promo, we didn't know where he was going, and so when he hit it, like, oh, okay, that's cool. He was like, basically, the end goal, the end line was, I talked to some people who reminded me who I am, and then he broke it up. It was like, so I talked to Mick Foley, and like, you know, and now I know I'm the crazy crackhead who can
Right.
that can beat you up.
Allegedly.
And so, like you said, good promo, great to hype up the match. Spike, okay, I'm fine.
So yeah, it was a solid collision. That was the end of that show. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think Collision overall seems to be getting better. I think. It
Yes.
feels like it. Obviously, as with any show, they have their ups and downs. I'm absolutely 100% convinced that it's always better when it's live, and I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest problem with Rampage is that it's not live. Um, so when Collision's live, I think it's in its best form. But I think it's pretty good. It's definitely not Dynamite. They make it clear that it's a show kind of a level below. I don't know if I want to say a level below, but just showcase other talent. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then Dynamite is, I guess, kind of the more main event, show. I don't know, but I like Collision overall. I mean, I'm glad that they have Collision. They
like
need
for
it with their roster.
yeah, definitely needed for the roster because, like you said, the Lynch Archers and the Lee Moriartys, who are great but don't have enough TV time, is definitely great for them. Definitely better than Rampage, right? I think with Collision, you just need their own storyline, right? Like right now, Collision is just action packed matches, they were done. And if you're a wrestling fan, then yeah, that's done. You're like, I don't need a storyline. Fine, cool. But for people who want to be a little bit more invested, yeah, like I ain't saying the whole show needs a storyline, but yeah, have one good storyline to that's like threaded in between. Like when I say one good storyline, like have a feud come on there for 20 minutes, and then the rest of it's wrestling. That'll be a nice little balance, right? So, but no, Collision is definitely a good 2 hours on a Saturday. You be at your house. Watch Collision.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's definitely a show worth watching. Most of the time, and like I said, I think it seems to be getting better. So that brings us to Dynamite from last night. Last night, Wednesday night, March 20th, was a full night of AEW wrestling as we had Dynamite live and then we had Rampage live immediately afterwards. So we will cover both here, but we're going to start with obviously Dynamite since that's what was on first. So last night's Dynamite kicked off with Miss Mercedes Monet, the CEO, in the ring giving an in-ring promo. Um, she talked about how she's here. She's still on a high after her debut last week. Um, and she missed all this. She's soaking up um, all the adulation. She's enjoying the crowd and being back in front of the crowd. She notes that her career almost got taken away from her as she suffered a severe injury in her match versus Willow. And then she shows a video package. Um, she talks about how she was rocking and rolling before it was taken away from her, how she is not here to lead a women's evolution. She's already done that. She says she's here to lead a global revolution. Um, then the lights go out and they come back on, and Sky Blue attacks Mercedes. And then Julia watches on as ultimately Mercedes fights them both off. Willow and Chris come out to save her, and we ultimately have Willow and Chris and Mercedes kind of in the ring together as a little happy group, I guess. Surprisingly, by his absence, no Stokely. I don't know how he would have come out here, but just noticed he wasn't there. I don't know if that's a change that they're going to have. I don't know if Stokely's not going to be with Chris and Willow anymore, but he wasn't there for this situation. What do you think of this from the beginning of her promo to the breakdown with Sky Blue and Willow and Chris coming in for the save?
Okay, so we were not here for the past 2 weeks, so I'm gonna let all my emotions out about this debut, and then we're gonna release it. We're gonna move forward, right?
Okay.
So we knew about Mercedes Monet ever since they said big business in Boston, right?
Hmm.
Didn't really know how it's gonna come out, but it's more so they did the same thing they did for CM Punk, right? And for if you're a fan of Mercedes Monet, you're perfectly fine with that, right? We're just great to have your eyes on her. It was perfect. And then after the promos, her first feud is with Willow, right? So so gonna focus back on last night. It felt like it was a continuation. Like it felt like she wanted to do more last week, and she was like, "Oh, wait, okay, this is the last little part of my introduction, and then we get back to business." So here's our video package, and then now we can do our storyline, right? So I love the video package, right? My Here's my main problem with Mercedes Monet coming back. You knew how big of a star she was, and it felt to me You didn't do the preparation into getting another female wrestler to be ready for her debut, right? So we have this feud between her and Willow, and rightfully so. She was the last person to pin her. But what has Willow been doing before Monet came? She's in this, no offense, mid card storyline. Now, this is a very fair mid card storyline, but it's not high up. She has not been in the main event for the past month. Her You only put her in the main event last week because of Mercedes Monet. I wish they would have done the work to hype Willow up more for Mercedes. Like I said, she was the last person to pin. She was the last person to pin her. She has won the Owen Hart Cup. Like, Julia was hurt, right? So why not? Why not? What you call it? Go full force and let her pin Julia for the belt, right? If we're going to do the storyline, I wish they would have hyped Willow up more. Because it feels like Mercedes isn't lifting this feud up. It's like you put Mercedes in a mid card feud. That's just
No, I 100% unfortunately agree. I love Willow, and I think Willow should be booked better and should be
yes,
booked in that main event picture and should have been booked more. But at this point in time, Mercedes coming in the way she does feels like a bigger star than a feud with Willow. She just unfortunately does.
yes,
And that's Tony's fault for the booking of Willow. I mean,
it is.
they could have done better between the whole New Japan strong women stuff and now to make this a better to make Willow look more like she's deserving of Mercedes Monet's feud because Mercedes is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world when she's going. And Willow, even though we all love her, hasn't achieved that status yet, right? She hasn't earned
Not
it and
just
hasn't
yet.
achieved it yet. So, and not that a feud with Mercedes Monet isn't going to help her a lot, but like you said, at this point, it doesn't seem to be helping Mercedes, right?
Right.
It almost feels like you said, she's getting dumped into kind of like a mid card situation. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll ultimately have to wait and see. But if being with Mercedes elevates Willow, then I'm here for it. And
Yes.
if she can find a way to lift this, or if Tony books it better, I'm here for it. But yeah, I mean, she should. I mean, to be fair, she's gone, but she should be getting a Britt Baker, a Tony Storm, a Thunder Rosa. I mean, no, you know what I mean. And no
And
offense to
Athena.
Willow, at Athena. And no offense to Willow, and Willow should be there with those women, but they haven't done that yet with her. They haven't like given her all that yet. So, in a year or two, I'm sure Willow will be. I think it feels like she's slowly growing, right? She's
Right.
putting in the work. She's paying her dues, and so I don't know, but yeah, no, I do think you're right. Let's see. We had the Bucks backstage hyping up Okada before his match with Eddie Kingston. Uh, Okada says he's coming for Eddie's title, and that led into their match, in which I was very sad afterwards because Kazuchika Okada got the win and is now the AEW Continental Champion. I, you know, I understand why it's Okada. I get it, right?
Yeah.
I still don't like it. I still don't like it. I mean, I'm never really going to be a huge fan of guys coming in and getting shots at titles just because of their name right out of the gate. I understand Okada's probably not. You can't bring Kazuchika Okada in and put him at the bottom of the rankings. I get that. At the same time, a title shot in his first match since joining AEW and a win over a guy that's had the best, year and a half of his career um, is a little disappointing for me. But I
Yeah.
understand why. Eddie's got three belts. In theory, he doesn't need three belts.
Yes.
And Okada and the Bucks, the new elite, are a big deal at the moment. So I guess the gold on him helps, you know, make them a bigger deal. Um, and maybe it will elevate that belt a little bit. Not that Eddie hasn't done great with it, but now that a guy like Okada, who's considered, Okada, has that belt, it does something potentially to raise it, I suppose. I'd love to see this match again. I thought it was a good match. Um, it did remind me what I don't like about Okada, just in general. I just don't like his in ring work. I don't. I don't think he's limited athletically or move wise. I just think he doesn't do a lot of different stuff. I think it's very he does, and I've said this before. They talk about the 5 moves of doom. He has more than that. He just doesn't choose to do more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
think he could be much better than he actually is, in my opinion. And I also don't like the Rainmaker as a finishing move. I think it's not impactful enough. It's not even that great a clothesline. And just turning the guy around and hitting him it doesn't. I don't know. It feels a little underwhelming for me for a guy like Okada to have that as his finishing move. So it is what it is. Eddie took the loss. Now Eddie's just the Ring of Honor champion and New Japan Strong champion, which is still great for Eddie. And Okada's got a belt. So what'd
Yeah.
you think of this?
So I will say this. Uh, it was very let's say slow, but it was very slow paced,
Uh huh.
and so still very good though. God, like Eddie knows. I don't think Eddie knows how to chop at a medium speed because you can see Okada's chest bleeding. Like, hey! Then he kept chopping Okada. Like, hey, you see the blood vessel, bro? Stop chopping them. But so let's talk about it. We weren't here for Okada's debut. This is a totally different way Okada debuted. He came in straight up with the what? Oh, that's me. Sorry. He came in straight up with the storyline. Like we thought he was going against the Bucks, but he actually joined the Bucks. It's New Elite. Great. He is great. I was, I'm not a New Japan fan, as in I don't watch it. Now, I don't like it. I just don't watch it. But I'm not sure what he was doing over there. But right over in AEW, he's a great heel. So I love that. It's like, all right, here's the star. Here's the storyline. Here's a belt. Let's roll. We don't have time to waste. I do love that aspect of it. Like you said, it's very sad. It has to be Eddie because we all love Eddie. Love his new ring gear. I'm like, yeah, okay, put some more effort into your work, to put more effort into your stuff. Okay, I see you. Uh, could it have been a? Could I was wondering because like putting the belt on Okada, I'm mad at. I was wondering why would you not wait for Dynasty to do it? I think that would be my question, right? Like this would have been a good pay-per-view match. I think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they definitely left meat on the bone if they want to do a rematch, but Pac came out, so I think that's his next opponent. But
Yeah, I was just gonna
yeah,
say. So then Pac came out. So, are you
right.
here for Okada and Pac?
I am. If I had to choose between who I want to see on Dynasty, I would have said Okada versus Kingston, but Okada versus Pac is gonna be
I'd
like
rather honestly, and I know I'm biased. I'm not a big Okada fan. I'd rather see Pac and Eddie than Okada and Pac myself, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't. Uh,
so.
let's
All in
see.
all, the presentation of Pac has been great in my opinion.
Yes. We then
That's it.
had
Okada.
what?
I'm not sure what I said. The
Oh,
presentation of
you
Okada.
said Eddie,
I
but
said
yeah.
okay.
Oh, you said Pac. You said
I
Pac,
said Pac. The
which is
presentation of
true. Both of them have
Okada.
been well. Both
Like
of
I'm
them
glad
have
I
been
can hear.
well.
At least I can hear myself say different words before I say. But yeah, the presentation of Okada has been great. I am all for it.
We had Swerve backstage. He says that Samoa Joe tried to choke him out, but he personally has a history of choking people out, and he issues an open challenge for tonight as they are going to turn Toronto into Swerve's house. So we will find out later who accepts that open challenge. Swerve is always a good promo, and always happy to see him wrestle. And I think him and Joe can debate who chokes out more. Well, Joe chokes out more people, but
Yes, yes,
they both do it. So
yes.
we then had Chris and Willow backstage. Um, They were asked about their match last night. Willow highlights her experience with street fights. Statlander says this will be the end. Mercedes walks up and says, and Statlander thanks her for having Willow's back. Mercedes says the CEO stands up for what she believes in. She gave Willow the cold shoulder and says she has done enough. Once she leaves, Stokely makes a joke about Willow injuring Mercedes last year. And yeah,
Okay,
anything you want to say about this little backstage segment?
so even though it feels mid cardish, I can see Mercedes putting the time and effort to say, okay, this is my decision. We're gonna make it do what it do. I do love more backstage segments. I think someone said it on True Hill Heat Ramble today. It was like more introgation, introgation, more connect,
Integration,
more
integration.
connectivity. I ain't gonna say it. More connectivity
There you
backstage
go.
in the women's division. I
Yeah.
think it's we definitely need more because I think that was my thing, right? Like going back to hyping other women up. It feels as though they have two different divisions. Like whoever's in the TBS title stays over here. Whoever's in the main event title picture stays over here. It's like no, they're all in the same division. Interweave that
Yeah.
stuff. So hopefully this is the beginning of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see where this leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we had my least favorite match of this Dynamite. I thought this is where it got slow. We had Lionheart Chris Jericho versus Hook. Um, again, I've been a little hard on Hook, and I didn't think he came off really any better here. He got the win, which was a big win over Jericho. Happy to see Jericho putting over younger talent as he should be at this point. Glad to see Hook get the win. I still think. I mean, I literally counted the different moves he did, not how many moves he did, but the different moves he did. And there were only four
Yeah.
different moves he did in that match. I mean, he did. I mean, it's like ultimately, it's like almost watching a smaller Brock Lesnar who does nothing but suplexes. That's really what it is like watching, and which some people love. I mean, people absolutely love fucking Brock Lesnar, and people love fucking seeing, the year that he was in the Rumble. You can tell me what year this was, but the year that he was in the Rumble, and
2020.
everyone, a guy would come down and he would suplex them and eliminate them, and then stand in the ring and wait till the next guy came down and suplex and eliminate them. And wait, it was miserable. That was the fucking worst Rumble, in my opinion, of all time. And I know some people absolutely loved it. People love Brock Lesnar. People love, suplexes. And I know Taz was you know, the the king of the suplex. I get that. And Hook is his son, and it's boring. I'm sorry, it just is. And this match for me was very boring. And nothing Chris Jericho could do, I don't think could made it any better. I mean, he tried. I think he tried, but for me, unfortunately, Hook is just boring at this point. He's just not moving the needle.
So I think comparing him to Brock Lesnar is a stretch. That's because I hate Brock Lesnar. I like it's like all that vicious vitriol in your mouth about that Royal Rumble. I echo it. They're like it was a good storyline. No, the
It was
storyline was
terrible.
stupid. And then you had three big dudes that couldn't live. I'm like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? No, I didn't like. Not about Brock Lesnar. Sorry. Let's go at the Hook. Okay, so like, if I have to say, I do think Hook does more moves than Brock Lesnar. Uh, just more so him versus Jericho does nothing for me. And we'll stay until the cows come home until it actually happens. Jericho, stay your behind home. It's like, sir, until you know what your next feud and your next character is, it feels like you're just treading water, and that is beneath Chris Jericho, right? So just when we say go home, it's not even because we don't like, well, depending on who you ask. For me, is you need to get this together, and we know you can do it, but to do it, you need a break. So go home, relax, and regroup, and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little torn on Jericho at this point. Like, I feel like what, 56 years old now or something. I just go ahead and retire. Like, you've done enough, right? Like, you're Chris Jericho. I don't think anyone disputes you're a Hall of Famer. You're a legend. You're one of the best of all time. We can feel how we feel about you personally, January 6th included. You know what I'm saying? But um, as far as in-ring wrestling work goes and promo work goes, I mean, he's one of the best ever on the microphone. He is one of the best ever in the ring. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, he probably just needs to go ahead and retire at this point. I mean, at 56, what, you take 6 months or a year and come back at 57 in better shape and ready to, like, come on, that doesn't make any sense to me. So at this point, you probably just need to go away, do some commentary, keep doing your cruise, come in once in a while. Give him the Christopher Daniels treatment where you come in and have a match once a month or something here and there, but where you're not wrestling and you're not a focus of a storyline all the time. The fact that Hook is now in what we, you know, uh, uh, refer to
The
as the
Jericho
Jericho
verse.
Vortex, the Jericho
Yes.
Vortex or Jericho verse is really unfortunate, and it feels like that's a true thing. And yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. So I don't know. I really hoped for more for Hook. I was a huge Hook fan when he first came out, and the first few times we saw him, I was all here for it. And I just feel like it's just been disappointing. But
Like we can still
uh,
save Hook. There's still ideas to save Hook, but we're not we're
oh
not
yeah,
we're
I
not
mean,
but we're not
go
used
ahead.
we're not doing them though, right? When
Yeah,
he was going against Samoa Joe, I'm like, let him be his young boy.
yeah,
No one else said this. We're not gonna. Okay, fine. He's like, fine. But Jericho, it's hard to. I think for him, and maybe I'm just guessing. It's hard to see how good Christian is, and that's your same class,
sure,
and you're not coming up with something that good right now.
right,
Right now.
yeah.
Like I said, if you want to go home and regroup and come back, do that. But you're not gonna find the answer still being here every week with a match.
Then we had Adam Cole discussing Wardlow. I was happy to hear this because to me, Wardlow feels like kind of the odd man out of the group and the one that's just kind of there for whatever reason. So the fact that Adam Cole was very unhappy about Wardlow's loss to Samoa Joe, about how he was disappointed and how he hates being disappointed. Wardlow had one job and failed. And now his one job is to ensure that the Kingdom retain their tag team championships and that Wardlow has to reach his potential, and he better not screw it up. What do you think of this little promo and his little warning to Wardlow?
This was perfectly fine. I think it's the great next step to this storyline, right? Um,
Yeah.
hopefully, not sure what MJF status is, but he needs to come back. They're definitely just treading water till he comes back, and that's very much unfortunate. But I wouldn't mind MJF coming back to save Wardlow, right?
Woo!
So
I was just gonna say, so I was just gonna talk to you about that. Like, I mean, like, because that's a weird dynamic, right? Because Wardlow fucking hates MJF.
yeah,
So, I mean, I guess if you have like this whole little, I mean, this is the first line. This shows kind of the first crackings in the Undisputed Kingdom, right?
right.
So, if ultimately Wardlow gets tired of taking Adam Cole's shit, or decides I'm not going to be a whipping boy, and he tries to fight back, and then the Undisputed Kingdom attack him or start, beating him up on a radio, and MJF comes and saves him. Wow. Holy smokes, that's a whole different. I like that. I mean, I kind of like it because then it puts Wardlow in a weird position, right? Because like
Right.
you hate the guy, but now he's back saving you. So, and I do think, for me personally, even though I didn't like him at all then, I do think the best Wardlow was still when he was with MJF as his enforcer.
Yeah.
So,
And the story could be MJF's redemption. You know you were a douchebag to him, and you know it is kind of your fault that he's in this position. So yeah, redeem yourself by helping Warlow. It's right. It really is right there in the rest itself. Just don't screw it up, TK. Just don't screw it up.
yeah. Let's see. Then we had we had Jericho putting over Hook backstage. Hook lived up to what he was hoping for. Jericho calls him a future world champion, says he's a bad man, and that Hook gained his respect and that he has a proposition for him. We haven't heard what the proposition is. It'll be interesting to see what that ultimately is.
Right.
But I hope Hook says no because I don't want him in any
Yes.
kind of Jericho. No Jericho vortex. Go away. Leave Hook alone.
Whatever it is, just say no. Taz, come get your son away from this vortex, please.
Let's see. Then we had AEW's newest, you know, main event free agent signing, Will Osprey,
Oh, spray.
in an
Oh,
in-ring
spray.
segment with Tony Schiavone. This was solid. He jokes about wanting maple syrup for the Canadian crowd. I thought this came up good. I The combination of the accent and the deepness of Will Ospreay's voice
Yes.
can sometimes make the words a little hard to decipher that he's actually saying. I have to like pay real close attention to make them all out. But but when I can make them out, I love it. I mean, he's a really great promo. I mean, the dude is on point. I mean, he just is. I mean, is there anything he can't do well when it comes to wrestling?
No, no,
No.
he's getting better, and I think I just had this realization. I was watching it today in New Japan, right? The crowd is not allowed to cheer loudly. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't really know. I know that there's been some discussion both ways. I'm not familiar enough with Japanese wrestling to know. I think they are kind of supposed to keep it a little bit more. They're not supposed to get as wild. I don't think as U.S. crowds or
Right.
other countries. Like
So I think that Will Ospreay is really soaking up the crowd's embrace.
yeah, for sure.
If you're not you like if you're just wrestling in quiet crowds and now the people are cheering for you, why how that not putting a smile on your face and you just gonna go out there and just give us big frat energy, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I he's married. Okay, fine.
So the best part of this promo was he started to talk about Danielson's time in Japan and
Mhm.
how Osprey had shoes to fill, but that the shoes were too small. That Will's feet were too big for Danielson's small shoes in Japan, and he
Yeah,
listed off all of his accomplishments. And the reality is that there really isn't any comparison to what the two have done in Japan. I mean, Will is a megastar in Japan, and Danielson just isn't. He just didn't have that for whatever reason, and I'm not really familiar with Danielson's in-ring work in New Japan. I wasn't really paying attention in New Japan at that point, but so I don't know why or what happened or even what he's done. But Will Ospreay's a legend in New Japan, so I mean, it is what it is, right?
and it might have
Um,
just been Danielson not being there that long too.
sure, of course,
Right.
100%. I mean, Will spent the last 4 or 5 years there. I mean, he's been there for a long time, so
Yeah.
Um, and then the biggest thing that came out of this, in my personal opinion, was that and one of these whatever you can do, I can do better type of things. Will Ospreay challenges challenges Shibata. I can say the name for some reason tonight. I'm just having trouble. Challenges Shibata to a match on next week's Dynamite. So, which listen, I'm all here for. I mean, I was talking about how Danielson and Shibata was a dream match, how amazing it is to see those two. This is another one of those. Osprey versus Shibata, the idea that we're going to get to see this. And just the idea that Tony has all these guys that can even put these matches together is just insane at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say it again. I truly believe this is a golden age of wrestling with the access that we have to, all the different wrestling that's going on because of technology and being able to actually see all the different stuff and independence getting more and more platforms to shine. And for me, it's amazing. And the fact that we get to see this on a Dynamite is insane to me. So next week,
Yeah.
Dynamite, Will Ospreay, Shibata should be insane.
Oh no. Um, like you said, dream matches. I haven't. I'm not a new. I haven't seen New Japan, but it's crazy. but certain people are just stars. So
Yeah.
seeing Osprey for the, let's say, second time, because the first time he was in sweats, I'm still mad at TK for that. I'm like, you have Okada and Osprey come out here in freaking barbecue outfits, but then flashback to their first matches, they need golden robes with fur. I'm like, no, let them come out like that. But no, when you're a superstar, you're a superstar. My only thing is, I know Shibata is a seasoned wrestler, right? He's a veteran when it comes to him versus Osprey. I don't want him to lose twice, though. I
Hmm.
want him like, come on. I know you're supposed to put the other guy over, but it's Shibata. Can he be at least one of these bros? I know he can't, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
No,
only.
unfortunately, I mean, if and the reality is that they're kind of both at the same points in their career. I don't know how much longer Shibata is going to ultimately wrestle. I know that his career was derailed for a long time, and so wrestling bump wise and years wise, he's probably still got a lot in the tank. But he's not young either, and I don't know what his personal life is like or anything. But if you're gonna, if he's gonna go over one of these two guys, it would have had to have been Danielson, because at this point Osprey's not gonna lose to Shibata. I mean, it just he's on too high a trajectory, in my opinion. Not that Shibata can't beat Will Ospreay, and not that that's not a believable situation. I just don't see that happening. So
Yeah,
yeah, unfortunately, Shibata is going to be taking two losses here. Um, and in no way does that make him any kind of jobber or any less of a wrestler. I mean,
right. No,
it's
definitely not.
Danielson and Osprey, right? I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
what are you going to do? I mean, I don't, So
yeah,
let's see. Then we had a small little video package of Adam and Christian's feud, but we ultimately end up in a match with Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm and Mariah May.
yeah,
So this was the match that was hyped up on Collision on Saturday, and here we get it. I mean, a solid match. And Mariah May's a good wrestler. All four of these women are really good wrestlers. So,
yeah.
on paper, when you look at this, you go, how could this not be good? And on TV and in practical application, it was very good. I thought the only thing I would have asked for was if they could have gotten a little bit more time.
Of
Um,
course.
you know, Thunder Rosa Deonna Purrazzo got the win. Um, I'm not totally sure what the ultimate goal here is. I mean, Deanna and Thunder getting the win puts them both in a position to say, we've got wins over Tony Storm, but Deanna Praz has already lost to Tony Storm. So are we
Yeah.
going to get them again? Do we get Thunder Rosa next for Tony Storm? Is it going to be Mariah May being tired of Tony Storm's bullshit? And is that going to be the next big thing for Tony Storm? I mean, I'm not opposed to Deanna and Tony Storm continuing their feud and having another match. I don't know.
So, no offense, but Deanna's turned heel. I think like she's very uncomfortable. She's very uncomfortable being a baby face. You can tell. So she
Yeah.
doesn't turn heel. Um, as opposed to Tony, right? I wouldn't mind for her to be Thunder Rosa, or if you want to do a triple threat match. Oh, okay, okay. How about this? Let AEW Dynasty, Tony, Thunder, and Deanna. Tony wins, but Deanna turns heel. I do triple threat match. Let's do that. I like that. But I love Mariah May and Tony Storm, so I wouldn't just yet break them up. Not yet. Not yet.
Let's see. Then we had Swerve Strickland, and his open challenge that he put out from earlier was accepted by the Butcher. I was very happy to see the Butcher come out here and accept this challenge. My only problem is I really, really like the Butcher, and I don't want to see him come out and take a
Exactly.
loss to Swerve Strickland, in which is basically a Strickland showcase. I mean, the Butcher had a little bit of offense, but it definitely wasn't the Butcher that we know and love, because he's supposed to look inferior to Swerve Strickland, like significantly inferior. So, which is tough for me. So it was what it was. Swerve looked good, got the win over the Butcher. A big win, a fairly easy win over the Butcher, and yeah. Um,
Yeah, totally agree with you because we all love the butcher. Push the butcher. It's a catch 22, right? Because to you don't want Swerve to have a necessary a squash match,
right.
but someone has to lose, so it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, the Butcher's just there to further the Joe and Swerve story, right? So
Yeah.
Swerve talks, Joe comes out, and they keep talking about back and forth about who's going to choke out who. Um, Joe says Swerve's problem is he still believes he can do the impossible when he faces Joe. This was honestly like this was a little odd for me when Joe came out here because I was expecting Hangman Page. Like I feel like we still haven't put the total. It should be over, but we still haven't put the final stamp or bow on Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. It feels like that triple threat match where Joe walked out with the title at Revolution still left that very, very hot. Swerve and
Mhm.
Hangman Page. Like that was really what came out of it as being the big feud, and yet Swerve's in the ring after a win, and Joe's the one coming out. So I don't know if Hangman obviously wasn't there. I don't know if he's hurt, taking a break, just wasn't there this week. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
it felt like that was a little odd to me there. Um, and then we obviously got. Oh, go ahead. You want to talk about that first before we talk about Don Callis coming out?
Oh no. Like, we could put it all together.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I am excited for Joe versus Squirt. I think with the right time and the right position, this is gonna be a very very uh, funky in a good way, storyline, right? Um, so knowing so Heyman, which call it going on break was already expected. It was already
Okay.
expected. So there is yeah, no loss there. In my mind, right? Not sure how long the break is, but when he comes back, I think I think Swerve should be champion, and that should be his first feud.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just so I'm not like definitely when he comes like have no one's cooled down. That feud hasn't cooled down. So in my mind, once Swerve becomes champion or his next bout to be champion, that's when Heyman comes back. So that's why I'm like, okay, cool, bet. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, hey, are you muted? I can't hear you. Oh gosh, wait a minute, I can't hear you.
Now,
Now, yeah, now you're back. You're back. You're back.
I know I
There
glitched
we go.
out. Don talking about Takeshita and Swerve and how Takeshita should give Swerve a loss. Swerve said he would burn down the family tree if he wasn't distracted, but he accepts the challenge and that he'll see Joe again once he's done with Takeshita. What do you think about Swerve and Takeshita as the next little tiny intermittent feud?
Very unexpected surprise, one that I welcome full heartedly because
Yeah.
Takeshita is that dude, and it feels as though he is just doing this, and there's no that's not wrong doing that, but it's like with Takeshita, we want him to get better. We want him in a main event picture. So this gets us to that point. By all means, give it to us. Yes.
Yeah, here's my only concern. My only concern is what do you do here? He just took the loss to Will Ospreay, which in theory he should be probably losing to Will Ospreay. But if you
Yes.
want him to be a main event guy, maybe he should be beating Will Ospreay sometimes. And now he's going to wrestle Swerve Strickland, who really shouldn't be taking a loss. And Takeshita is going to take another loss after taking a loss to Ospreay to Swerve Strickland. So that doesn't do much for pushing him or making him look better. But if he beats Swerve, I think that makes Swerve look weak going into stuff with Joe. So
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it seems kind of odd to me. I don't know. They keep putting Takeshita, in my opinion, in the wrong, not the wrong kind of matches, but the wrong storylines for those matches. Like they have it
Situation.
right,
Yeah.
right. You know what I'm saying? He needs to get some wins against some big guys, but these are the wrong situations, and he's not going to get those wins. So I don't know. It's weird.
I know it's AEW, so they're not all too familiar or want to be familiar with this. But if this isn't in a DQ, I'll be okay with that.
That would be okay. I could see that happening. All right. So then we were at the main event of Dynamite last night. The match I was looking forward to all show. Unfortunately, earlier in the day, because I get notifications from Wrestle Talk, it said
Love!
right.
Yeah,
It
say it.
said it said Adam Copeland, new TNA champion. I was like,
Like,
shit.
come on, man!
Now,
Come on!
don't get me wrong. It's my fault ultimately, I guess, for not fucking watching it live and for whatever case may be. But still, like, damn it.
Sometimes life be like this.
I was disappointed because I mean, obviously, you still don't know how it works out, but it was like, fuck. Now I know who won. So
Yeah,
it is what it
we're
is.
in the
So
same boat.
this was Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage in an I Quit match for the TNT Championship. Ultimately, Adam Copeland wins and is your new TNT champion. This was a really good match, though. I mean, as well as should be, right? I mean, these guys have amazing chemistry. It was everything you wanted it to be. The spot where Edge, it's so much. I don't know why. I guess it's because he was Edge for so long, but for some reason, Edge feels so much more comfortable saying than Adam. When Adam inverted the fucking ladder and dropped Christian into the middle of the ladder, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then they had a few spots that were pretty outrageous. These guys are fucking 50 years old. I mean,
That
these aren't these aren't spring chickens, right? And they're still doing table spots and ladder spots and fuck, man. And then the crowd would loved it. I mean, it's in Canada. Both are Canadians, right? So,
yeah,
and at one point they're chanting TLC, TLC, which I thought was pretty cool.
right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, this was everything I wanted. Martha gets involved. She hits what you call it, Adam with the hockey stick
Hmm.
and the junk, and then ultimately she gets ran out of the ring after a whole bunch of shenanigans happen, and she runs off for her life.
Hmm.
And Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard ultimately come to the rescue of Adam Copeland, which is kind of interesting to me because me personally, I think of Daddy Magic at minimum as always a heel. And
Yeah.
so to come out and save Edge here seems odd. Honestly, it would have felt more natural for them to help Christian. But you got to have someone to help Edge, and I don't know, or help Adam, and I don't really know. There's no one backstage or on AEW that feels like a natural person to come out and help him. So I guess you just have to pick some people, and I suppose Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard are as good as any. I mean, it kind of puts Matt Menard into a bigger picture, which I'm here for. I like that. And Daniel Garcia is great. So, but I did think it was weird that they were the two to come save or to come help him here, ultimately get the victory. Um, this match, obviously, because it was an I Quit match, had all of the shenanigans you could possibly imagine. Everybody from the patriarchy had a moment in the ring. Um, and then obviously the involvement of Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic. But Adam gets the win in the very end. Christian says, I quit. What'd you think of this overall?
So, definitely a great way to end this feud. They're in Canada, number one. I love them knowing Edge's theme song. So, like the music, you thought it was Judas, but it had more freaking words to it. I'm like, so like
Right?
when the song ended and they're singing it, I'm like, God, what the freak? God, the actual words. I would have loved to have seen Edge's. I'm sorry, he's Edge. I would love to see Adam Copeland / Edge's face when they were singing it a cappella, but they had him on the big screen. I would have loved to have seen, like, oh my god, they're actually, that was adorable, right? And then but yeah, great, great. match. Um, what else I was gonna say? So yeah, so the whole Daddy Magic and Garcia coming out, it makes sense in the words of when Garcia faced Christian, he had the interaction that cost him the match. So a little bit of payback, I get that. I it re- Daddy Magic and Garcia kind of turned face during the C2 very gradually and organically. So if they want to turn back heel, they can, but that's how it happened. So like it felt better than anyone else. Side note, when are we gonna get FTR and Adam? I thought it was boys. I thought y'all wanted the match together, unless we already had it and it just wasn't that good and I just forgot it. But yeah, I thought we were gonna get that. So going towards that, right? Adam Copeland's new TNT champion, great. I wonder what happens after this, right? Because he said himself, I came here so we can retire together, tag team, one last run. So I wonder how we get there and how long it would take. I don't see Adam retiring anytime soon. And right, when I say anytime soon, 3 years. I say within like he still got 3 good years. Christian's been killing it. RIP to Papa Christian, our forever TNT champion. I like this is uncharted territory. I don't think I was ready for. Like you said, I was in the same boat with you. Freaking Wrestle Talk ruined it for me. I'm like, dang it. But yeah, Christian without the TNT belt, uncharted territory. I know, like they're both great, so I know they can do it, and don't know how the plans will get from point A to point Team Awesome back together. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, you
Christian
said it
can talk.
earlier that this should be the end of this, and I mean, I guess my real question is it? I mean, it should be for all intents and purposes, but I can't see Christian just walking away from the TNT Championship that easy either, right? And if so, then what does the patriarchy do at this point? Do they just kind of dissolve and go away? Because now that he doesn't have his championship, he loses kind of his, hold over them and his respect that they've been giving him or whatever. Or
Mhm.
it's weird, right? And what does Adam do after this? Is who's going to be his first feud for that
Opponent.
belt, right? Opponent for
Yeah.
that belt. If it's not Christian, who's it going to be? Is it going to be another member of the patriarchy? Is it going to be Kill Switch? Is it going to be Nick Wayne? Or do we just move on and put him in a whole different, feud with somebody else?
Situation. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about? Okay, what do you think about the handcuffing and the repeated kicks to the junk and then spike to the junk? Poor Christian, right? I hope he's had the kids he wants and isn't planning on having any more kids because goddamn, his balls took a beating last night. Like man,
um, not mad at the ball kicking or handcuffing. More so, my concern was okay. Side note, totally forgot. I am not a college football basketball person, so March Madness escaped me. So
uh-huh.
I came home and I was putting on. I could have sworn I hit Dynamite with Rampage. So I'm like, hold up, why is it already to the end? What the frick is going on? And so
Right?
that whole ending to Rampage was crazy. Um, More so, I don't know how you do a better. I want I wanted Spike to be used better. That I don't know how, right? But I felt like Spike to the junk wasn't what I wanted for Spike. I thought like somewhere in your ribs or on your head. It's been a while
Right?
since we had a Bob Bar bat incorporated in these scenarios. So I wasn't sure how it was supposed to work out in this match, but I wanted something different. So besides that, it was yeah. That was my only little nitpick.
Yeah. No, I agree with all of that. This did pour over from Dynamite into the very beginning of Rampage, which came on right after, which was also on 320. And when this ended, Rampage basically kicked in, I suppose. And our first match on Rampage
It was a promo
was it was a promo.
with Jay White in the
Oh
the
yes,
Butt
you're
Boys.
right. Yes, you're right. You are correct. I forgot about that. You're right. Um, yes, a video package of the Bang Bang Gang hanging out in Florida with a where they had a skeleton Darby Allen come down the the water slide.
Right. Not right.
So stupid.
So
Um,
so.
I'll be totally honest with you. I knew who Jay White was. I knew the name. I'd seen him wrestle a couple matches. I wasn't overly familiar, honestly, like up close and personal with his body of work in New Japan. I just wasn't, and I guess I didn't realize that he was as much of a maybe he wasn't over there, but as comedic as he is.
Right.
This stuff is very. I mean, he's not necessarily like the funniest guy, but these vignettes are definitely comedic and done funny, and lighthearted and yeah, they're supposed to be having fun, and so yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different. For some reason in my head, I had this vision of him just being kind of all intense Jay White, but clearly that's not true, and that's my misconception, obviously, from not knowing enough. But I thought this was fun. You're right. I mean, this was a fun little opener. Um, and then I guess the acclaimed. Talk about the Bang Bang Gang in Florida first, and then we'll talk about the acclaimed actually being in the arena.
Love the Bang Bang Gang. Love them being by themselves. No offense. No offense. Hey, sis. No offense, but the Bang Bang Acclaim Gang wasn't doing anything, and that's not their fault. It's not their fault. There's this could have been done better on so many levels. Number one, they got together to go against Undisputed Kingdom. Why that never happened was stupid. So it's like that was misstep number one. The misstep number two, this little lull period of boring matches. Not so no offense, like just them going against jobbers or going against people that no one cares about. That wasn't doing them any favors. So it really just a matter of like, okay, let's get this over with. Let's do the turn now, which I'm very grateful they did when it was Jay versus Darby Allin. So I'm very glad they're back. Yes, let's get them back. Let's get them back separate, neutral corners. Bang Bang Gang by themselves is back. I'm happy. Guns up.
Yeah, no, I mean when Juice comes back, they'll be back to full
Yeah.
force, and I like it when I like them a little bit better when Juice is around.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean I liked them separate better. I wasn't a huge fan of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. First of all, it's a little too many people for one, and two, yeah, it just didn't seem to really fit well for me. Um, but then we get the acclaimed who are live in the arena. Daddy Ass can't travel. And Caster says that Jay White is a light heavyweight fake tough guy who hides behind the ass boys. So, and that Jay White is stupid, and he knows he's stupid. Wait a sec, what did he say? Caster knows White is a stupid man because he's messing with the best wrestler alive. Um, and the acclaimed want a shot ultimately, obviously, at Bullet Club, Bang Bang Gang, Bullet Club Gold, and everybody loves the elite. I mean the acclaimed. I apologize, Jesus, that was terrible. Everybody loves the acclaimed.
You're good.
What do you think about these two feuding now? I assume we're going to get a nice little feud here between these two trios.
All I say is let's finish this. Do not overdo it. It's already been dragged out too much because y'all did not give them the proper matches to make this interesting, right? So if we're putting a time limit on it, AEW Dynasty, put the belts together, do the match, be done with it. Don't drag this out, please.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Then we got our first match of that Rampage, which was an AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament wild card match. This was Best Friends versus Takeshita and I'm sorry, Hobbs and
Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher. Jeez Louise, it was drawing a name on the guys. I hate it when they just say Don Callis family because then I have to look around and figure out who from the Don Callis family actually represented him.
Specifically in the
But
match.
yeah. So Hobbs and Fletcher versus Cassidy and Trent Beretta.
Hmm.
This is a solid match. Best friends got the win to advance in the tournament, which means the Don Callis family is out of the tournament since it's a single elimination tournament, which kind of surprised me. Um, I don't know why I'm ever surprised at this point that Orange Cassidy gets a win because he wins like 99.9% of the time. So, and I like Trent. I'm a huge fan of Trent Beretta. I wish he would get away from best friends, much like I feel about Mike Bennett getting away
Boo.
from Matt Taven. um, but yeah, I enjoyed this. What do you think? Were you surprised that all the best friends got the win here in advance?
I'm not surprised because I think best friends right now in this tournament, the best friends are actually the only solid team right now in this tournament that have
Sure.
been wrestling. I'll say that have been
Yeah.
actually wrestling matches in the tournament. So I'm not 100%. I'm not surprised. Um, I'm hoping this leads to best friends splitting. Well, not, okay, Trent breaking up from best friends. Not because I don't think they should be together anymore, but I just if you're not going to do the Trent solo run now, when are you? Right? So this will be a great launching point for that. And so I'm hoping that this is where this leads to. But
Yeah.
solid match.
No, Trent deserves a singles run. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think so. Let's see. Next, we had Shibata versus Kevin Matthews in basically a Shibata showcase,
Yeah.
which is just supposed to kind of hype up Shibata leading into his match against Osprey next week on Dynamite. But Shibata looked good. Um, he just like I said, it was basically not a squash per se, but it was a Shibata showcase. Anything you want to say about it?
No, I think you did. I think you said perfectly. Shibata showcase. Shibata's the man. That's it.
Uh, then we had Adam Copeland backstage, pounding champagne with the boys and celebrating his new TBS or TNT championship. Um,
Yeah.
then we had Takeshita versus Osuka, Rocky Romero, in what was a very fun match. Takeshita got the win. And I guess, I was talking a little bit about taking losses and taking too many losses. This is a good win for Takeshita. Rocky's a good opponent. Even though Rocky takes a lot of losses and kind of come off as the guy that's there to take the L, we've talked about before how he always looks good in taking the loss. He
Yeah.
doesn't have that jobber feel because he's such a good wrestler that he puts on a good match even in losing, and he knows how to make the other guy, how to put the other guy over and winning look really good. So this was really good. Both guys are amazing wrestlers. Um, I kind of wish Rocky got a little bit more just because he's so good, but at the same time, I understand. So, but yeah, Takeshita got the win here, and this was really good.
I echo everything you just said.
All right. Let's see. Then we had our main event of the live episode of Rampage, which was Julia Hart and Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in a street fight. What did you think of this?
So, talking about earlier of Mercedes Monet and hyping stuff up, I wish they would have done this last week. I'm not saying that Willow versus Riho wasn't good. I feel like this would have gotten I think this match would have gotten the party started better, right? Because it say what you want to say, women's tag team no disqualification matches have been great in AEW. They have not missed a beat, especially Willow in them. And Miss Sky Blue showed up and showed out. So this was
Mm-hmm.
basically someone said it earlier in on True Hill Heat. A highlight reel, like you just had Blue Thunder Bomb off the freaking announce table, but the freaking announce table didn't want to do business and didn't pray. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you had Blue do a power bomb to Statlander on thumbtacks, and then the crackhead, sorry, allegedly put the freaking thumbtacks in old girl's mouth and then super kicked her. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
now Sky Blue being real sick. Wait, and then of course the freak, I love this crowd was great. Oh, you sick,
Mm,
you sick. I'm like, yes,
yeah.
my people, y'all are crazy. And then you had Willow doing a what do you call it? I don't want to screw it up, but basically a fireman's carry under two tables,
Right.
and then
The
like that
Death Valley
was
driver, essentially.
there
Yes.
you go, thank you, Death Valley driver, and then Statlander missed a the 360 the 350 splash, and so definitely
Yeah.
a rewatch, definitely a rewatch. Great, everyone in this match was great.
I agree. This was a very solid main event. Um, I I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not a little surprised that Julia Hart and Sky Blue got the win, but the match itself was amazing. Um, all four women left everything out there. It was a great street fight. I thought they all had good spots where they all looked really good. Um, and yeah, I mean, this was a ton of fun. Please, 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 please make Rampage live. This,
Because
I
oh
mean,
my,
this is like
yes,
this has to be one of the best Rampages of
in
all
a minute
time, in my opinion, or that I can remember. I mean, you don't have to put it right after Dynamite every week. Although I did think this worked well,
it worked.
but at least make it live. I mean, I think this is a perfect indication of if you make it live, at least you can get a really good show out of it. And this was a really solid show. Um, so yeah, no, and I'm happy to see the women here in the main event. Um, and these four women because even though Julia Hart is the TBS champion, I feel like that belt has felt like it's dropped a little bit since Jade has gone away, and you know, and so this feels almost like you said, like a mid card feud, but
Mhm.
yet they got the main event spot. Now, to be fair, Rampage is a mid card show, so if you're going to put it somewhere, this is the right place to put it. But they
Yeah,
still got the main event. So,
right.
so four women that probably don't normally get the main event are here getting the main event on a live show right after a really solid Dynamite. So
Mhm.
in front of a great crowd. So yeah, this Rampage I thought came off really good, and this match was a lot of fun. I thought this was a ton of fun. So
So much fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that was the end of Rampage, and that brings us to the end of our show here tonight. Let's see. Do a little. I'll put up our little thing here to advertise the wrestling club. WrestleMania is coming up soon here. The wrestling club is going to WrestleMania. They're taking a bunch of kids to WrestleMania for probably a once in a lifetime of experience. They've raised a ton of money. Not a ton of money, but they've raised money so far for tickets and for hotel and travel and all that stuff. But everything costs money still once you're there and all that stuff. So anything helps. It's a great thing to donate to. It's a great what you call it. I'm trying to think of the right word. I can't think of what the word I'm trying to say.
A great
Um,
experience.
yeah, there you go. Um, so yes, please pay attention to the wrestling club and donate and help them out. It's all for the kids.
Mhm.
I'll put up a
They still
schedule
need
real
food.
quick. What?
Like they still need food and
Yeah, yeah.
transportation money.
No doubt, no doubt. Everything costs money in WrestleMania weekend. I'm sure it's
Whew.
expensive all around there, so I can't even imagine. So just real quick, I'll just spout through this real quick.
Mhm.
Um, Monday we get Seeing Stars. That's Jay News and Dolores talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and a lot of other independent shows, GCW, and some other stuff. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Then on Tuesday nights, live is the cookout where we all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. We play games and other stuff. This Tuesday, the 26th, will be named that superstar. So tune in for that. We will have a couple special guests. We will have Professor Chris and Miss Chrissy Love coming for that. So that should be a lot of fun. So make sure and join us here for that next Tuesday. That's 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then on Wednesdays we have All for Naught, which is myself and Sammy Joe talking about Monday Night Raw and NXT from the 2 nights before. Then on Thursday, which you're here for us right now, with us right now, Aftermath of Dynamite, myself and Anika talking about the week in AEW, starting with Rampage from the Friday before, up through Dynamite of the night before. That starts at 10:50 p.m. Uh, Pacific or Eastern, 7:15 Pacific. Then tomorrow night, Friday nights, we're here for Friday Night Fights, where we're going to be watching SmackDown and Rampage. I think it's going to be me and Anika again. One more week. We're waiting for Sammy to be able
Okay.
to
One
come
more.
back. Um, so so join us for that tomorrow night. That starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern when SmackDown starts live. So, and then Saturday in the morning, you get Under the Radar, although it's been a while since you've had one. I probably won't be one this week either because I'll be filling in for Sammy on Friday nights, which is normally when we do Under the Radar to put it out for Saturday. So, but hopefully at some point again, you'll get Under the Radar on Saturday mornings. And when you do, it should be at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Then Saturday nights we're back for Saturday Night is All Right, where we watch Collision live. Usually, in theory, it's supposed to be CM and Anika for some Black Girl Magic, but so hopefully someone will be there, whoever will be there, holding down the fort for our Saturday night watch alongs. And then on Sundays, you get Enter the Square Circle, which is myself and Sammy Joe battling it out on WWE 2K23 currently. We are in the middle of the round robin tournament to name a number one contender for Bobby Lashley, who is the Enter the Square Circle World Heavyweight Champion. Um, so that is the end of our schedule. And if there's anything you want to say to the people before we go, feel free. If not, we'll just go ahead and say peace and get up out of here.
Bye.
Peace. Till next time.